Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Sesame, Korg, and Carta.
Okay. Korg and Carta.
Yeah.
Or in
Korg. Or Korkata.
Or in Korga. No.
Or in Korg. Yeah, I guess I could do that too.
Yes. So, today on the show, we have a special episode where we are talking about the fourth film in the Thor franchise. The, 5,000th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Thor, Love and Thunder. So,
yeah, let's do it.
First off, initial thoughts.
I thought it was a great movie. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very fun.
Yeah, so did I. I thought it was fun.
I like how they kind of they sort of transitioned Thor into like a somewhat humorous comedy character since the first one came out. Was it 2011, I think, or something like that?
Yeah, the first two movies were pretty serious.
Yeah, he was a serious character, and then Avengers comes out. He's kind of somewhat humorous there, and then we obviously we get the Thor Ragnarok, which was kind of sort of like him sort of breaking the, I guess, fourth wall. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the right phrase in that, but
breaking the fourth wall is when you talk to the audience.
Well, I guess breaking, I don't know what wall you would call it, like where, like, I guess like the expectations of what you would think that character would be. I don't know if there's a phrase for that or not, but like, because that one was kind of funny too. With you got Hulk, it's kind of like gladiator stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Endgame, he let himself go and he drinks beer and plays video games all the time and with Korg, and so you kind of got this sort of Big Lebowski vibe going on in that whole movie.
Yeah,
he's like drunk the entire time throughout the whole movie. And then, excuse me, I had some water here. And then you got this movie, which is just kind of leaning into that, basically, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, Taika Waititi, the director and also the voice of Korg, directed and I believe co-wrote both this and Thor Ragnarok. So yeah, okay. So he basically changed the character in a lot of ways, changed the expectations for the character. I liked this movie, not as much as Ragnarok, but it was still good. I thought Ragnarok had a little more depth to it, if that makes sense. I don't know. And this seemed to be like, it's like they took, which is, and I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, I'm just saying that this is what they did. They kind of took the stuff that really worked in Ragnarok and upped it a little bit in this movie. But almost too much, but it's still a good movie, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's like, it felt like a little bit of a letdown from that movie. It's really, it's hard to top some movies, you know what I mean? Sequels aren't always as good as previous films. So
yeah, I had the opposite feeling, actually. I thought this was actually better than Ragnarok, but it's been a while since I've even seen that one.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen Ragnarok like 5 or 6 times, and I really like it. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies, period. So that's probably why.
But hey, you're not allowed to like a movie, that someone else doesn't like, or that means that you don't understand how films work, and And then if it turns out that you actually like a movie that's objectively worse than this movie, then but somehow you're the film expert, you know.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's an inside joke. But
Yeah,
uh then,
that's what happens when random people on Facebook attack you for no reason. But yeah, um,
yeah,
just because you post that you thought Thor: Love and Thunder was fun.
and then some mentally ill person just starts sending you a bunch of messages about how you suck and you're a terrible person and uh blah blah blah. But then this person, finds out, you know, in the midst of all of their like objectively insane postings, and I say that in a clinical sense, because
Yeah,
it sounds like there's a new phrase on social media. They call it schizo posting. I'm not a huge fan of it, but basically
yeah,
that's what it is, where it's like just unconnected thoughts, just like instead of just writing one post describing everything, you write like 50 posts, and the people have to try to piece together what they might actually be talking about,
hmm,
because they're so like their brain is just so like disjointed that they just can't like keep hold of a single thought for more than 2 seconds. But yeah, this guy was going around, saying, oh, how he loved Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, which in my opinion, this movie's way better than that movie was. If anything, I still call that movie now Scarlet Witch in the Multiverse of Madness featuring Doctor Strange, because that's actually what the movie is. But no matter, that's a whole
yeah,
other thing. But anyway, so it's like if you were, I'm not saying it's good, but if you were to judge someone by the movie they like, I would say liking that movie over Thor: Love and Thunder would make you
hmm.
the inferior person. If we were going by that logic, I'm not, but if we were,
Yeah, and by no means do I or probably anyone feel that this is the greatest movie since Citizen Kane or anything. So,
no,
I'm just saying,
it's
it's
a fun movie. Come on,
yeah,
superhero movies are supposed to be fun, okay?
yeah,
I mean, yeah, they can be serious too, but they're popcorn movies, or
hmm,
they're Mike and Ike's, or Mike and Sesame's, or
yes,
or you know, or whatever. They're
those
not
don't
meant
taste
to
too good.
be what that.
Those don't taste too good.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why DC fails so much, because I think they try to make their movies like way too serious for superhero movies, and people just don't like that as
Well,
much
yeah,
as they
so some
like.
of their movies are. I mean, I will give them the the second Suicide
The
Squad movie.
Suicide Squad,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Suicide Squad. That one was
yeah,
good.
yeah, it is.
Shazam was better, was good too. So yeah, those type of
Peacemaker, the TV shows, is
yeah,
great. But yeah, but that's them. I think kind of taking their cue from Marvel. Like, okay, we got to stop making all these like really dark,
yeah.
like like. But anyway, sorry, we're kind
Yeah, we're
of.
anyways, so let's dive in here. What what's happening in this film?
uh, I mean, a lot. So I don't remember the exact chronology. Don't Doesn't really matter. But so I think, yeah, we open up with Gorr,
Yeah.
who's like he like becomes the main villain in this movie. He's with his daughter. She's sick. They're both like starving and hot, because they pretty much just live like in an arid wasteland now. There's no trees or anything like that. There's no food, so he's trying to keep her alive, but eventually the only two words she says is "I'm tired," and then she dies. And then she like used to like draw and stuff, so she was drawing on a lot of the rocks that were nearby. So then he buries her, and then he hears some kind of whispering, some whisper. I didn't really hear exactly what it said. I think it said "come to me" or something like that. And then he ends up finding this oasis, which is like terrible, because literally could have just gone to that oasis and got food with his daughter before she died. But so then he finds like a pond or whatever, drinking the water. He finds like a bunch of fruit. So he's just sort of gorging himself, on this fruit. And then all of a sudden we hear laughter, and he looks up, and it's his god that he worships from his planet or people or whatever. He was the one that was asking him to save his daughter, and he even said during his prayer too that he's not praying for himself; he's praying for his daughter to be saved. And then he's pleading to him like, like saying that he's like he's his last worshiper left. Like there's
Yeah.
everyone else has just been wiped out. They're all dead. And then the god's like not even like at all concerned about that. He's like, oh, those people, oh, that's no big deal. Like we'll just find other worshippers, no problem. And then the other gods are because there's like a bunch of other gods that are like with them, like just celebrating. And he's at first he's kind of laughing with them until he realizes that they're actually mocking him. And he's like, wait a minute, like we've given everything for you, like we've died for you, like literally my entire people have died worshiping you, and you didn't bother to help us. And he's like, yeah, what's the problem? Like we're gods, we just can do whatever we want. We don't care about you. It's like so, and he's like, well, like it's like, well, why are you like celebrating whatever? He's like, we're not celebrating you coming here. We're celebrating our recent our recent kill or whatever. And then he looks over and there's some guy like some body like in a black suit of armor or whatever, and he had the necro sword, which is like some powerful sword that's able to kill gods, and I guess they killed him or whatever, so that's what they're celebrating for. And then Gorr insults the god basically just out of rage, and then the god like grabs its throat and stuff like that and says, all right, well, I'm just gonna kill you. But then the necro sword starts lifting itself up to Gorr, and then eventually gets into his hand, and he just goes and stabs the god, and the god says, "Oh, well, the sword's chosen you now. That means you're cursed. You're cursed." And he's like, "Cursed? It feels more like a promise." And then he cuts the god's head off, and then probably kills all the other gods.
Yeah, the god's name is Rapu.
That's right. Yeah.
I was trying to find who played him. Yes. Anyways, so you can continue. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, so we just get the beginning now of Gorr's story that he's now vows to kill all gods because not only did his god not save his entire race of people, let alone his daughter, when they were just like maybe a few hundred yards away from the arid land or whatever that they were living on, that the gods are just you know mock and treat him like shit. So he's like, all right, well, this is what gods do. Apparently, they just gorge on their own food, and they don't even care at all. Very interesting, almost atheistic plot line to this movie, like, and or deist or what's it, dystheistic? Because I actually looked it up. So like, there actually is a word for people who believe in gods, but they actually hate the gods, and they consider them to be their enemy, and it's called dystheism. So atheism, you just don't believe in them at all. But so it's like, like the whole quote angry atheist motif. Like this even goes
farther
beyond that, where it's like, no, I believe in the gods, I just hate them, want to destroy them. And so that's like his beginning of his like arc, his story arc.
Yeah, which I think is an interesting allegory to reality, where it could be about like the beginning. We get like this whole thing where the gods don't care about the Earth anymore that he's living on, the planet that he's living on, not Earth, but the planet that he's living on, and basically let it become this desert wasteland. It's kind of like how people don't care about the environment as much as we should sometimes, and worry about that, and also how also people that are in power, aka gods, are like only caring about themselves and not and want the adoration from other people. And even when they do things that seem like like charity or things of that nature, it's usually just to make themselves look good. Not usually, but there are genuine people out there that do, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, and I've heard somebody compare Gorr in general to like Marx, because his family had died and he blamed the wealthy people because of the inequality of riches and stuff. So yeah. So anyways, there's interesting allegories there to things that happen in the real world, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But so basically, Gorr goes off killing bunch of gods. So while this happens, our buddy Thor is hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and and one performance that I think was very lackluster in the film was Chris Pratt's like phoning in of his performance. In my opinion, he really just didn't look like he wanted to be there.
Oh,
That's how I felt. It's just kind of. I mean, I like Chris Pratt normally, but it just felt like he was like contractually obligated to be in this movie and didn't really give it his all. You know what I mean?
wow.
Yeah. And
They were only in like what 5 minutes of the
yeah,
movie or something like
kind of
that.
they kind of painted themselves into a corner when it came to Endgame when he went off with the Guardians. So
Yeah,
we had to kind of catch up with Thor with the Guardians, or at least explain it in dialogue. But we did get the actors there, but it just seemed
yeah.
kind of like lackluster. It's like, yeah, we're just kind of spinning our wheels here until our movie comes out, where we might give where we might give it our all. Um, that was my one, like, I think the performances in this movie were great except for that. But anyways, we've got this whole like big battle that Thor is like saying, "Hey, we won this battle," when he's the one that just basically fought it all for them.
Right.
And killed a bunch of people, killed a bunch of villains, and saved this planet while also destroying this temple to their god.
Yeah, because Gorr killed their gods
Yeah.
too, I guess. And then but I don't understand who these other people were. Were they like working on behalf of Gorr, or are they just like random villains?
Oh,
Like,
they said in the dialogue a little bit there that because of the gods being killed, the land became an unrest. Like when the gods were not killed, there seemed to be like a unifying people. These were also people of this planet, I guess.
oh,
There are like
okay,
two species on this planet, and they were basically held together both based on their belief of these gods. But
oh, I see.
once the gods were gone, then they started to hate each other or something,
Oh God, okay.
or the one group started to become mean or whatever. Basically, is what they kind of said. So, so that happened. But Thor gets a distress signal when they're looking at these, other places that they can go to help people. From Sif, from Lady Sif, and he goes to help her, and she's like injured and wanting to die because she wants to die in battle, but he explains to her that the battle's over, so she's not really gonna go to Valhalla if she dies outside of battle. Which,
Just so stupid. It's
yeah,
just like, wait a minute, I fought in the battle. Like, I can't go to Valhalla
mm-hmm.
just because I didn't die in the battle
Yeah,
itself.
and she lost
Like, I think,
she lost her arm in the battle, and he says, "Well, your arm's in Valhalla."
yeah, maybe you're.
Maybe you're,
So yeah, they take him.
yeah.
What the, like New Asgard and Infirmary or whatever. I guess. Oh, but we also forgot though too those people then gave Thor these goats as like
Oh
a
yeah,
reward. But even though he destroyed their temple by a mistake, um, so
yeah.
we
But if
get
they
these
don't have the
really
gods,
wild.
they don't really need the temple anymore. So
Yeah, well, I know,
no,
but they had this whole thing where it's like, I'm sorry, it's like I don't want to talk about the temple. It's like I think we should talk. Like, no, it's making me more
yeah,
angry. Like, so they give him like these like really large goats. I guess is like as a gift, but they like scream all the time. Maybe that's one of the things you're talking about, them overdoing the comedy bit. Maybe of just the goats are always screaming every time.
well, it's not even the comedy that they overdid. It's like just the mechanics of Ragnarok, like different things that happen in that
Hmm.
movie that they kind of like turned up to 11 in this movie, like
Yeah,
Korg, for example.
yeah,
I like the character of Korg, but he's better in smaller doses. And then they turned down some things that I think they should have turned up more, like Valkyrie. But that's just,
yeah.
yeah, that's just my personal feelings. I think there's a better movie out there with less Korg and more Valkyrie. Um, yeah. Anyways, so we've got these goats that he's given, and meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Jane Foster who is Thor's ex-girlfriend. She's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and the medical treatments are ineffective. She thinks she hears Mjolnir calling her, so she goes to New Asgard, hoping that the hammer can magically heal her. It reforges itself, and she basically ends up becoming Mighty Thor. So, if you hear any music, a car just drove by where I'm recording and was playing some rap music very loud. Okay, so
got to show off my speakers.
Yeah.
Other people have to listen to what I'm listening to because I'm, like so important or whatever.
It's true.
Yeah.
So what goes on here? Yeah.
What's that?
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just saying, because the theater I saw it in, the speakers aren't as loud as some of the other theaters, so I couldn't hear every little nuance that some of them theaters might say. But I saw her pick up a book to look at Mjolnir. Is that when it called out to her, kind of?
Yeah, the book started talking, sort of.
Oh, the book. Okay.
It whispered to her.
Oh, I see. Almost like the sword whispered to Thor, I think. But then then she saw something about how it could restore health or something like that. Or my question though about that though is, so in Endgame, Thor went back in time to get his hammer. So why isn't that hammer at play anymore? I forgot what happened in Endgame where I don't know what happened.
Did he destroy the hammer in Endgame?
I don't remember if he did it. Why would he?
It's been enough. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember.
Got purpose, or just got destroyed.
I know that. I know that in Ragnarok, Hela destroyed it, but yeah, he did go back. But then he did go back in Endgame. Maybe he had to return it.
Okay, I was just wondering why.
Because there's a chance he. Well, I know that at the very end of the movie, Captain America has the sword. I mean the hammer.
Oh, so he still kept it with him then?
Yeah. My theory is that when Steve went back in time to return everything to the way it was, like the stones and whatnot that he had to go back to, he probably brought back Mjolnir with him and returned that to where it was supposed to be. Because because I mean, depending on the theory of time travel here, if Thor took it from the past, then it wouldn't be there later when he needed it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But I thought they said the past doesn't get affected when you go. I remember. It's so complicated.
Yeah, it is. It's very complicated, so it's hard to say. But I'm just saying that that's a possibility because, well, Steve did go back and put things into place that he needed to. So my theory is that they had to go back and fix some things.
Yeah, no, I remember now. And I'm starting to remember. So, yeah, Bruce said that the future won't be affected by changing the past, but you still can affect the past. So, yeah, if they didn't put that back, then that whole
it'll create another timeline, but you're basically fucking up the original timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so that's probably what happened. And
yeah. So that's probably why we only have the hammer that Hela had destroyed. So
Jane can now use.
Yeah. So what goes on next here?
Well, he takes Lady Sif to the infirmary in New Asgard. This whole town has become like a tourist town. It's very sad to see, because they got a ride and all these dumb, touristy attraction places. They even have an ice cream store called the Infinity Cone, which is really, and then because you get it, Infinity Stone
cones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Infinity Cones because you get it, Infinity Stone.
And then I think it was spelled with a Z too. I'm pretty sure, but yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
like what a weird way to like make I mean, that's like it's like having like a restaurant named after like the Nazis or something like that. But like you're not a Nazi yourself. You're like the victim of the Nazis, but then you're making a restaurant named after. It just seems like very
But
odd.
you
But
could
whatever.
think of it. You could think of it in this way. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here, or
Mhm.
actually the whatever advocate here. The
Thanos advocate or
Thanos' advocate here. The the there is the whole thing where Christians wear crosses around their neck because that is a symbol of the sacrifice that people made, that one person made specifically, being Jesus.
well, yeah, but
So maybe the Infinity Stones are the symbol of the sacrifice that.
but not really because that's Thanos sacrificing everyone else, though. Not
I know. I'm just.
well, it could have
I'm
been
just.
when Tony
I said it.
wore
I
it,
said it was a far stretch here. So.
but and what Tony did, but it didn't look like Tony's hand. It looked like the
Mm-mm.
actual gauntlet itself. But whatever. It
Yeah.
just I think it just demonstrated how this town's
Commercial. Yeah,
become
it
just
is.
like the touristy, soulless town. I mean, like I feel bad for towns like that where that's the
Mm-hmm.
only way they can make money is just degrading themselves essentially,
Like
and
something that
then
used to be a cool town, and then all their businesses closed up, and then they've got one thing going for them of some sort.
yeah,
It's like, oh, come to our town and see the world's biggest artichoke or whatever. So you're like,
or
yeah,
yeah, the world's biggest pistachio or whatever,
yeah.
yeah, or or go to our rainforest cafe. Sorry, it's a whole other video,
Yeah.
but yeah, and they got
Actually,
the like
it's
these.
two videos you can watch. You can watch both Eddie Burbeck's and his friends, because I watched both of them.
Oh, there's another one where they went there. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
the one that his friend Ted, went with him on this trip to all the rainforest cafes because it was his idea. And
He
it's
made his own video
yeah,
then.
it's funny to watch his video after watching Eddie's, because Eddie is so
Oh,
miserable and Ted's really not. So
okay. I didn't know that he made one too. It's awesome.
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
send it to
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're all really funny videos, or at least the one I saw, the Eddie
Hmm.
one. But hilarious. I wish we could toss it and do something like
I
that, but
know.
whatever. And then but anyway, so they got like a cruise line, thing going on with it. They got a play where Matt Damon's playing Loki. There's some other actor that I don't know. He looks familiar, but I'm not sure who he
The
is. But
the the actor playing Thor is actually Chris Hemsworth's brother Luke.
okay, maybe that's why he looks
Yeah,
familiar.
it's Luke Hemsworth, who looks a little bit like his brother. So,
Okay,
but he's just not
so
quite
they're
as in shape. So.
so they're reenacting like the Loki's death again, like just like they were in Ragnarok. I think the same scene, and then and
Yeah.
so like terrible, terrible play. Like, but
And
people think it's great.
Melissa McCarthy is playing Hela.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, she comes out and breaks the hammer, and I mean, the whole thing's just like a disaster. And then, but then Gorr shows up later on, I think that night, because they kind of, I don't remember what happened in between them, but I think Gorr shows up there, casts a shadow over the land, and
And
starts
shadows
summoning.
turn into these like big like bug type creatures, like almost like spiders or something.
It almost reminded me of Stranger Things, almost
Yeah.
like. I mean, it's like I wonder, like, if they were just taking cues from each other, because like he's got these tentacle things that can
Mm-hmm.
like wrap people. I mean, it's like it almost seems exactly like that, almost like weird, but like um, so they're like attacking the children, just like in Stranger Things, and then there's like a big battle going on. Thor there, Valkyrie shows up, and then during the battle, we see Mjolnir like just go past and like destroys some monster by going through his body or whatever, face or whatever,
Yeah.
and then uh Thor's gonna grab it, and then it just like shoots back towards Jane. At first, we don't really see who it is; we just see the hand, and it kind of zooms down to her face, and then we got or her helmet. So he doesn't really know who it is at this point, and then she this is a really cool thing now since the hammer's technically still broken, it's like it can be pieced back together, but it's not really whole. And so she just like uses that to shoot like shards of it at all
Yeah.
these other creatures, which is like really, really cool. And then it just like reassembles itself, like Avengers Assemble, but
Oh yeah.
it's instead of
And
Mjolnir Assemble.
the reason I don't know if if we mentioned this. I don't think we did. Because I just read it. Was the reason that it's protecting her is because Thor asked it to watch over her years ago.
Oh, okay.
So that's why she's able to wield it and everything. So, yeah.
That makes sense. So yeah, they win the battle, kind of ish, and then she reveals herself, and then he's like clearly still in love with her. He's like, "Oh, how long's it been?" He's like, "Oh, it's only been like 8 years, 5 months, 200 days or whatever."
Yeah.
Like,
Down to the minute almost, and yeah,
yeah, like, literally, I think down to
Mhm.
the minutes, like, and then they kind of start sort of arguing with each other, like, yeah, kind of, left each other or whatever. So I don't remember what it was or something like that, or she wrote because they started going into like a narration thing with Korg, kind of narrating the movie a little
Yeah,
bit.
and that's where we find out that he had basically enchanted Mjolnir years ago to help protect her.
Yeah,
So
that was interesting.
yeah. So after Gorr attacks the town and he has stolen all the kids, including Heimdall's son. Um, Basically, they have like a big town meeting. Things go, whatever happens. But to cut to it, we end up having Thor, Mighty Thor. That's who Jane is now.
Yeah,
Um, and King Valkyrie and Korg. They all go off to fight um, Gorr to basically try to free the kidnapped kids.
yeah,
And they need a vessel to do it in, so they get a ship,
like
which
an
is an
actual
actual
ship.
ship, yeah. And then it's flying off, with the goats helping guide them.
We're always screaming all the
Yeah,
time.
and it's kind of like it reminds me of Santa Claus's sleigh, which is
Yeah, a little.
interesting because in I mean a lot of influence for Santa Claus comes from Norse mythology. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
so yeah. What happens after they go off then?
uh, they're trying to find. Well, Thor's able to teach Heimdall's son, who now goes by the name Axel, named after Axel Rose, because he's really into Guns N' Roses. And he teaches him how to do the same thing that Heimdall did, where they can sort of communicate via like thoughts or whatever. And so Thor shows up, like in like a mental, I don't know what you even call it, like spirit realm or something like that, to the kids to like let them know what's going on and try to find out like where they're going, stuff like that, and then find out that they're going to I forgot the name. It's the center of the universe, or I forgot exactly
Yeah,
what.
it's they're trying to get to is this where he's trying to get to the what's the plate the I don't know what the
Eternity.
yeah, eternity is what he's trying to get to. Is it eternity?
But it's
Yeah.
at it's
Yeah.
but it's at the center of the universe. I
Yeah,
think. I'm not
eternity.
sure if I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm skipping stuff or not. And then,
Oh, no, it's okay. Um
but oh yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Oh, but before that the group ends up traveling to Omnipotence City
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's pretty awesome.
where
Uh,
they're trying to I looked into the Norse thing too for a second there, and yeah, like Odin was basically the basis for Santa Claus when it comes to Norse mythology, and then it ended up
oh okay.
bleeding into like more like um Eastern and Western European cities and stuff like that, and then eventually making it to the United States. So that's why he's got the long white beard and stuff. Um,
Hmm,
with
okay.
mixed in with Saint Nicholas and all these other things. But yeah, that's an interesting story that we could talk about some other time. But they go to Omnipotence City, which is where like there's a big gathering going on of all the gods of the universe. And their leader of the gods is Zeus, played to hysterical effect by by why did I
Russell
blank on his
Crowe.
Russell Crowe?
Ru-
There we go. I blanked on Russell Crowe's name. That's sad for me. Yeah, but but Russell Crowe was great in their role, I think. And basically, Zeus is afraid of Gorr and unwilling to help. So
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of like little hysterical scenes going on there, and they even have like one of the gods is like an animated creature from a Pixar movie.
Yeah. Just like there's a dumpling god, like
Yeah.
god of dumplings apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zeus keeps doing this thing where he's like they're trying to plan like their next orgy whenever that's supposed to happen, or this year's orgy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You're not invited to the orgy or whatever," because he like because Thor asks for his help and he strips him naked.
Yeah, when he said that, my niece's boyfriend who went to the movie with me just turned to me and said, "Did he say what I just think he said?"
Yeah,
it's like this is a Disney movie. Not really, but not really. But yeah, I'm just joking. It was just funny.
And then he's like, "Yeah, you're not invited or whatever," and then Bob, and of course all the women like faint or swoon or whatever type of thing.
For
that whole thing.
They swoon for because Thor ends up naked.
Yeah, because he thinks that Zeus thinks he's wearing like a disguise or whatever.
Yeah, and he takes his clothes off a bit too much. And we do as Taika Waititi was on a talk show, and they had blurred out that the Thor's butt in the photo that he showed, and he says don't worry, if you go to the movie you get the whole Chris Hemsworth.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah.
And he had some cool tattoos. He had a rip "Rest in Peace Loki" on his back, which shows how much he really did care about Loki throughout his whole life and stuff like that. And he also had some other things too. I think there was a Tony Stark thing and a couple other people that died, but not cool. Vision for some reason. I'm not sure why. Because Vision literally died in front of him, like literally. So you think that
unless it was hiding somewhere we didn't see on his body, who knows?
Yeah, maybe somewhere else. I don't know where, but
maybe the one part they didn't show us.
Yeah, maybe, and then because that's where you have Vision, I guess. So no, sorry, it's bad, but and then so it appears that Thor killed Zeus, but with his own lightning bolt, because Zeus has this whole thing where he's like doing this big show with the lightning bolt, making a whole thing out of it, or thunderbolt or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah,
because technically lightning is a thunderbolt. I don't know
well, he says his lightning bolt is called thunder. Is what he said it was named.
Because he says that thunder technically is really just lightning, I guess, or I forgot what he said.
Thunder's just the sound of lightning, is what he said.
Yeah, that's what that was. So he was like basically saying that Thor is like number 2, whatever. Like, which technically he is, because he even said that Zeus was kind of like his hero. That he that's who he was trying to.
And Zeus really proves that whole they say later in the movie not to meet your heroes sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Zeus and Thor get into a big fight, and Thor impales Zeus with his own thunderbolt. Then Valkyrie steals it during the escape.
Yeah, because he wouldn't help him, because he kept saying that Gorr has only killed some low tier gods that it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But really, he told him in secret. He's like, "Yeah, I know, but I don't want people to panic about this." That whole thing. That same old story of we won't tell people the truth because blah blah blah. Like Batman. What was it? Dark Knight. Kind of that same thing. We don't tell people how bad this situation really is or whatever. So they leave, then what happens? I forgot where they went after that.
They continue on their journey, and Thor and Jane kind of rekindle their romantic relationship, And she inadvertently tells him during this that she has cancer. Which, he's like, oh no, sort of shit, and but he was also talking about, because earlier he had been told that, the way he wants to, that he wants to, what is it, like, feel pain or something, like feel,
Oh yeah, something about like it's better to feel like shitty than to, like.
shitty, that's it, yeah, I was trying to remember the word that he
So
uses,
that's what
shitty, because that's
the
what, like, is
what's
it,
his name?
it's what, Star-Lord told him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that, you sometimes you need to feel shitty about somebody, basically it proves that you are able to love and stuff, and so he said he wanted to, feel shitty about her. So,
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, wait, that came out wrong. That's not what I
yeah.
mean. You know? And like,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
anyways, the group ends up traveling. Oh yeah, during the big fight, Gorr lost his, not Gorr, I mean, Korg lost his body. So,
Yeah, that's right. And the Zeus killed him, but not
so
really.
now he's just a like a mask face,
A
basically.
head.
Yeah.
Valkyrie carried him, tied him to her head or something like
Yeah,
that, or
so
whatever.
she
And then,
could see out of the back, basically. Not really, but he could tell her what was going on behind her. Um,
yeah.
the so the group travels to where the kids are, which is called, appropriately, the Shadow Realm.
Hmm.
Yeah, where everything is like black and white. Um,
Like, yeah, literally all colors just
gone.
gone. Like,
Yeah, and this whole thing turns out to be like a trap. Um, from Gorr to try to take Thor's axe Stormbreaker.
oh, it reminded me really quick. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's like this whole running gag in the movie where Stormbreaker's like jealous that he wants Mjolnir back and is like
Yeah,
threatening gestures and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
and he has to go like comfort her basically or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's like,
yeah,
an ex being jealous, sort of thing,
an
I
axe
mean,
being jealous.
yeah, an ex being jealous about an ex. And
Yeah,
so
it's a whole new thing to so I married an axe murderer. Whole new meaning. Sorry.
so he basically, Gorr wants to use Stormbreaker to open the Bifrost, which will help him enter the realm of eternity. So he can wish for eternity to destroy all the gods. Like everywhere. So Gorr ends up overpowering them, and he severely injures Valkyrie, which pissed me off because she wasn't in the movie enough. Um,
Yeah.
and he steals Stormbreaker, uh, and then the group ends up going back to Earth. We find out that Mjolnir is actually um, draining the health of Jane. It gives her powers while she's wielding it, but it's draining her powers when she's not. Which
Yeah. So
I'm still not fully understanding, but I guess it makes sense in a way.
because it was supposed to help her,
Yeah,
or I mean, but
it's not
maybe
really.
because she's not, she's just regular human. Because Cap, yeah, he's human, but he had that serum, so maybe that was able to not like
Yeah.
affect him as bad. Plus, he only used it once, so it wasn't like it was all the time.
So yeah, it's kind of like it's interesting because it's like the sword that Gorr has basically is making him more evil as he uses it,
And
and
also infects him too, though.
and infects him. And then we've got Mjolnir doing a similar thing, not making her mean or anything, but makes her stronger and makes her love more and stuff like that, but also is draining her power,
Yeah.
and making her more sick.
Right. I wonder if he wasn't already sick though, if it would have just made her sick.
That's
Or
what I
not.
wonder. Yeah, like
It could have.
if like a completely healthy human was able to wield the hammer, if that would happen. Like if you gave it to, I don't know, if you gave the ability to wield it to, I don't know, let's say like Sam Wilson or something, somebody that's like a relatively healthy human being,
Yeah.
without any kind of superpowers, really. So, um, so we got we go to the hospital there, and we find out that if she continues to use Mjolnir, she's going to die. So, Thor talks her into letting him go and fight this alone so she can recuperate.
Mm-hmm.
And so Thor goes off and he finds the children by himself, and he is able to imbue them with the power of Thor to fight Gorr's creatures while he battles Gorr. So is this a power that he's always had?
You see, that's the thing. I wonder, and I wonder too about like how did he get his eyes back, or his one eye, and his eyes are different color
he
now?
He got his eye back in Endgame.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fake eye or something. I didn't know
it was a fake eye that can move and stuff. But yeah,
I know, but this looked like regular eyes, though. It seemed like to me.
Well, that one did too.
I don't know. It seemed like his eyes were bluer this time around than they used
Might
to
just
be.
be the lighting and the color timing.
Well, I've heard. I watched a few theory videos before this movie came out, and apparently there's like a version of Thor in one of the comic series where he like basically powers up or whatever. So I don't know if that was sort of some kind of indication that he's kind of leveled up on his powers or whatever.
I don't know, but Chris Hemsworth does have really blue eyes, so I don't know. So,
I don't know. To me, it seemed like
it
just seemed like they're like way like more blue. I don't know. A few other people noted it too, so I don't know. But
I think a lot of the colors stood out more in this movie based upon the color timing of the movie, like the way that they balance the color in the film and stuff. So
maybe
I
don't know. But yeah, it could just be like whole convenience magic TV too. Like what they did with Loki, where suddenly Loki had this power to block like certain things from falling on top of them, which was never ever revealed once. That he had. Like,
my thing is, it's just always funny because like there's that. Plus, there's the idea that there's this thing, eternity, where you can go and make a wish. Did they not know about this before the whole Thanos thing, that they could have made a wish that Thanos would, or just undo what Thanos did? Or
well, it may have been hard to get there, or maybe you needed the Necro Sword to get there as well as Stormbreaker. So they probably figured this would be impossible. Nobody knew anything about the Necro Sword except for gods, and what probably wasn't pertinent information at that time to even talk about it, because it wouldn't even matter, But so is eternity like an actual being, or is it just like an energy? Does it talk? I mean, is it like, like?
So in the comics, eternity is a fictional cosmic entity. It's eternity, along with his sister Infinity, were born with the Big Bang. And
is that where the Infinity Stones come from?
Possibly. And they represent the multiverse in its current iteration. But each universe has its own eternity and affinity that represent that universe.
Oh, see, I hate it when they do that. Because, like, if they're supposed to be, like whatever.
This is in the comics, too. So
no, I know. I don't like the idea, because it's like, if something's supposed to be, like, an all-powerful being, they should exist as one person throughout the multiverse, not have different versions of that. Like, there shouldn't, like, for example, there shouldn't be like an Allah in every single universe.
I know what you mean.
Or a different Jesus in every, like, those should be beings that just are like, they exist as themselves, but they're like across the multiverse. But sorry, that's just I know.
No, I was just going to continue here too. There was a single universe whose animating force was the primal cosmic being that would later call itself the first firmament. The first firmament was attacked by its creations, the Celestials. During the like the Celestials that we encountered in the Eternals.
So they created the Celestials then?
So during the catastrophic cosmic war that erupted between them and their counterpart creations, the um, as- aspirants, the climax of that war resulted in the Celestials' weapons tearing the first universe apart. The core essence of the first firmament and the surviving aspirants desperately fled the void outside creation. The torn fragments of the surrender first universe then coalesced into a new being that was made up of hundreds of universes. The second cosmos, which was the first multiverse.
Okay, it's very confusing.
Yes, it is. Creation would then evolve, die, and be reborn 6 more times, each time evolving and changing to add new realities, forces, and properties to itself, and all these changes would be reflected in the corresponding birth of eternity.
I understood none of that.
Me
be honest.
too, but that's what we got here. That's the background.
I think sometimes Marvel jumps the shark a little bit because I literally understood none of that. Like,
see, Eternity was a creation along with the Eternals and stuff like that of Steve Ditko, who was a big fan of cosmic type stuff back in the 70s and everything.
I could see that, I guess.
I think he was doing a lot of shrooms or something.
Probably, because like, I mean, these comic books were like meant for like kids and teenagers. How would anyone be able to understand any of that stuff? But like,
well, if you're doing that stuff, maybe.
Maybe it makes more sense when you're actually reading a comic book and it's like bite sized as opposed to reading like an article where it's like they coalesce everything into like a research paper. So it's like you're like, what the hell is going on here? This whole story is probably spread out to like 100 different issues.
But so like in the MCU, we just get it as a character in this movie.
We just get this dude who like looks like. But by the way, during the battle though, it looked. I don't know if it was me. A couple of people I was sitting next to, one of them whispered something to their friend or whatever, and I think they said the same thing, that it looked like a celestial statue's head fell down during the battle in that their chamber or whatever. Was that? Did you see that?
I saw that too.
Okay, I was.
I don't know if that was a celestial statue or a statue to eternity or what it was. You know,
so. It looked, but the eyes, like the 6 eyes, whatever, it looked like a celestial to me. I think, and I heard this guy talking to his friend, and I think I whispered, "Was that a celestial?" So I wasn't the only one, I guess, who saw it or thought I saw it. And the battle was pretty cool though. Got all these kids were like basically like the one kid was like had like just like a stuffed bunny as her weapon or whatever, something like that. But other kids like had like rocks or whatever they were able to pick up.
So what my thing about the kids were what was the deal with all the so some of them were Asgardians and some of them weren't.
Well,
do they all live in New Asgard? But they
all lived in New. Well, that's the thing, because Asgardians apparently wasn't just a home to like actual like quote native Asgardians, as far as I was able to understand. I don't know, and that's true or not. But even with Ragnarok, it seemed like there were people who, like, for example, Loki technically is not an Asgardian by birth. You know what I mean? So like. If they're willing to make an exception for Loki, maybe it was just kind of like because too you got Norse gods and you got
plus New Asgard itself is like a refuge for people, so it should.
So it could have just been like like basically like literally.
I mean, Korg lived there for a while too, so it's like.
Oh it was called New Asgard,
and Meek lives there, so so.
And plus too, you got like for example Heimland and Valkyrie, they're both black, and as far as I know, Norse gods are usually not black because they live like in the they're from like they're god like people from like cold, brutal, wintry kind of places, and usually the people's skin pigmentation in those lands are kind of whiter.
Well, that's also in the whole like way art was depicted too of these gods, anyways. So it's just doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just the way they're depicted too. I mean,
Well, yeah, but
they're all fictional
anyway.
anyway. So, but yeah, the
Well, yeah. Well, no, they're not fictional. Sorry, Thor's a real god, and so is Odin, and don't you ever blaspheme them. But that was just the point I was making, though, is that maybe Asgard was just like a sort of cosmopolitan like city or whatever you call it, But who knows, really? But yeah, because there was a few people who were like looked like they were like aliens.
Because the thing I was just wondering is because I wasn't sure if those were like kids he stole from other planets or if they were all from New Asgard.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that actually.
That's what I was wondering.
That would be he probably just would have stolen there because he was looking for Thor specifically though. Because he wanted Stormbreaker for himself because for whatever reason.
Because if they were stolen from other places, then maybe you would have had some people from those planets helping out too.
Right, which would have been bad.
Or wondering where their kids are. So yeah.
Well, my kid's back. Sorry, reminds me of that scene from Arrested Development.
Oh, it reminds me of Gone Baby Gone with Amy Ryan's character saying, "Give me back my motherfucking daughter."
Wow. I don't think I've seen that one, but
she says it like 8 times in the movie because her daughter's stolen, and she's like talking to people, and she's like, "Just give me back my motherfucking daughter."
Wow,
with a horrible Boston accent. Anyways, I love Amy Ryan. Ryan is an actress, but oh my god. So so the kids help fight, and so they basically, what happens next then?
Jane shows up even though she's not supposed to because she can tell
she shows up on it looks on Valkyrie's horse.
Yeah, and then she helps fight the battle and stuff like that, and they eventually are able to sort of follow Gorr, I guess, to eternity or whatever, and then I don't remember exactly how, but they I think they stab Gorr with the sword at one point. I think I don't remember, but
he's pretty much dying.
So Thor does the whole speech, you don't have to be a bad guy, blah 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 type of thing. You see another single superhero movie or show in the entire history of comedy, or not comedy, but whatever, TV. And then he's like, like, you can bring her back, which again, that's what I hate about these movies. Like, they're good movies, but it's like if your wish is so obvious, like why do this weird workaround? Like, why not just make that like the goal of your goal? Like, I got this power, or I've got this sword, or whatever object gives me a power. Why don't I just wish for the thing I actually want instead of like going through this whole journey? Like, for example, with Wanda, why couldn't she just been like, hey, what if America can just like learn her powers and you can teach her, or I can teach her, and then she can just then show you to a universe where your kids exist, but their mom died or she's not there or whatever. Yeah. Then you could just go be their mom. There you go. End of movie right there. Like, you don't need to kill thousands of people at Kamertage and burn them alive and kill.
Yeah. And why was it so like immediately needing to happen, sort of thing too?
Yeah, it's just so stupid. So like with that, in this movie too. All right, you got the Necro Sword. Okay, you killed the god that betrayed you. Fine, okay, you can kill one god, no big deal. He was an asshole, and he was even going to kill you. So technically, you could even call it off to self-defense. And there's no police for killing gods, so even if you did, no one's going to do anything about it. So why not then just use that to be like, hey, can you bring my daughter back? There you go, end the movie.
But the sword corrupted him.
Yeah, there's always got to be a convenient thing about that.
I know. I'm just saying that's what the sword
does. Like, the sword is so powerful, but it corrupts you. Ooh. Okay, but then now they got the same thing with Blade. So is a Necro Sword like? Is it somehow?
I'm just wondering if it's connected to the to the the sword from the end of Eternals. Yeah, so
like Ebony Blade. Is Ebony Blade like forged from the same power as that sword, or whatever? And then anyway,
but if you look at it, the way it's corrupting him, it's kind of like with drugs. Like you could go to the doctor and be given OxyContin as something that's helping you with your back, but then eventually it starts to corrupt you by you getting addicted to it, and you become an addict. You know, so it could be a metaphor. Yeah.
So anyway, Thor convinces him to not wish to kill all the gods, but to bring back his daughter. And then he's like, "But I'm dying, so then won't have anyone to take care of her." And she's like, "No, she won't. She'll have me."
So can eternity only grant one wish? Is that what the thing is?
Probably. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I would imagine, because it's like,
Because my thing is why didn't they save Jane?
Well, because Jane she would rather, have a child be alive.
Yeah, no, I get that, but my thing is like, then there is only one wish. Then that's what I was getting at, is because like if there was more than one, they could have saved her.
Yeah,
but I guess they must have said that, and I missed it. I didn't really know.
I don't know if they even did. They may have not even said that, but it just could have been assumed. I don't know. Because I mean, if this being is so hard to get to, I doubt that it would just be unlimited wishes. Like it's probably just literally.
But my thing is too, why couldn't he make one wish, and the wish is, can you bring back love and save? No, is that two?
No, technically, it counts. And so that's where we get the title Love, because that was her name, was Love. And then so that's why it's called Love and Thunder.
So we get this thing at the end where it's like Thor is now basically the adoptive father to Love.
Yeah.
And cute little girl at the end, basically.
Yeah, but Jane dies in his arms though before that. Yeah. And then turns to like dust or the gold stuff that Odin did when Odin died.
Gold stuff.
What's that?
I said the gold stuff.
The gold stuff, the gold dust or whatever, and then so then she dies and just turns to, which is interesting because why would that happen? Why wouldn't she just die and not? So that's interesting right there. And because wait, only Odin did that, and Odin's a god, so does that mean Jane's a god? Interesting. Anyway,
so now at the end too, Thor is now carrying Mjolnir again, and and Love is now carrying Stormbreaker. Yeah, she had actually drawn on Mjolnir, like drew a face on him. So
why did he give her the big one? Why wouldn't she be holding the hammer? I mean, she's smaller. It seemed like
I don't know. Maybe she can't wield it.
Oh, well, she's not worthy.
I don't know. I think she would be, but who knows?
Anyway, they had like this sort of debate at breakfast because he made her pancakes, but she didn't like them.
Yeah.
And then she called him a demon. Go to hell, demon. She like shoots stuff out of her eyes. So
yeah,
that's interesting. And then he breaks his pan that he just bought, and he keeps telling her to put her shoes on. She doesn't want to put her shoes on. She wants to wear like her slippers or whatever. You're right. So we think it's like a regular argument taking place, but what's actually going on outside of this argument, which is funny, like interesting.
Yeah. And then they go off and fight, and he's teaching her how to be a superhero, basically.
Like there's this whole battle going on outside, and we're just it's like we're made to think like it's like an apartment or some house, and they're just like
gonna go to the park or something,
hanging out. But no, it's like you gotta get your boots or shoes on because we gotta go fight these bad guys. And they play "Sweet Child of Mine." They played 4 Guns N' Roses songs that I counted throughout the movie.
Yeah,
that's gotta be a big budget. I mean, for 4.
Unless they cut a deal or something, and maybe who knows?
Well, I know. Still, they played "Welcome to the Jungle." They played "November Rain."
Yeah,
they played "Sweet Child of Mine," and they also played Paradise City. And
they played some Dio too in there. I think
there was Dio at the end. Yeah, "Rainbow in the Dark," which because Rainbow.
Yeah.
The whole
Bifrost thing and everything. So yeah.
Right. We do have a few things that are probably going to upset the people who hate anything that's woke in movies. So Korg apparently is gay, and I guess so was his parents. So there's probably
I think his whole species are men. So
Well, whatever, but there's probably going to be a whole thing about that. Like, oh, we can't have a movie without at least one person being gay. It's like, I know, you're so oppressed, dude. I know.
And Valkyrie's bisexual, so.
Well, yeah, so you can't, you know, like,
it was
it's going to ruin
confirmed in this movie, too, so yeah.
So.
And so then we have the credits start rolling, and then we get a mid-credit scene where a recuperating Zeus, so I guess he isn't dead, sends his son Hercules to kill Thor. And Hercules is played by Brett Goldstein, who I haven't watched yet, but people know from Ted Lasso. So I guess he's one of the main stars of that show. And then we have an after credit scene. In a post credit scene where we've got Jane arrives at the gates of Valhalla, which I don't get because she didn't really die in battle; she died after battle.
Exactly. Well, maybe Thor was wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
He was missing. Well, Odin didn't die in battle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess technically he's like the top god, so maybe there would have been like an exception for him. But yeah, he didn't die in battle. He was talking to his sons when it happened.
And so yeah, she arrives at the gates of Valhalla, where Heimdall's still a doorman.
No.
and he welcomes her and thanks her for helping to save his son. So
Axel.
Yes.
I wanted to mention something else too. So I think it was a fun little joke. I don't know if everyone got it or not, but when Korg, you know, was doing his narrations throughout the movie here and there, he was talking about how he met this guy that he likes now named Dwayne. Get it, Dwayne the Rock?
Oh yeah,
the Rock people. You know, so I don't know if
that's funny.
Went over too many people's heads or not, but
no, I laughed at it. Yeah,
it was kind of funny.
It was funny. Some of Korg's narration, because that's where I think they needed Korg to do that, because you didn't want to, you know, have a lot of exposition done other ways. I mean, it was kind of just good to break it off into funny narration.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because he's like.
But it was funny. The other funny thing is that he kept getting Jane's name wrong. He called her. He called her Jane Fonda at one point.
Right, Jane Fonda at one point.
And then he called her. Then he called her Jodie Foster.
Oh, he did. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
So yeah. So yeah, there was that. Those were kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah, I would have, like I said, I mean, my only complaints really are that I would have liked more Valkyrie, and I would have liked a little bit less Korg. But it's cool.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It was still a good movie. It was better than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which I still enjoyed, but you know, it was still, you know, not as good as some other movies. Hopefully whatever comes next in the MCU is going to be just as good. I'm not sure what's coming next, but
yeah,
we'll see. Either. Yeah. I don't feel like looking it up, but you can do that for yourself, folks, listening at home. Any other final thoughts here before we wrap things up?
No, not really.
Okay, so also before we really wrap things up, though, do you think that Hercules is going to be like the big villain if there's a Thor 5?
I hope not, because he looked kind of stupid. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he looked like a Greek god, which in comparison to all our superheroes, they don't really look that good.
They're not that.
They don't look very menacing. They don't look.
No.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be like a fake out. He'll get killed like in the first scene,
or he'll go off to try to kill him, but then become his buddy.
Yeah, because Hercules, you know, is supposed to be a good guy in all the things I've.
And basically, you know, like Thor is Odin's son, and Hercules is Zeus's son, so they're kind of like second generation gods here, and they're kind of like, hey, you know, maybe they can relate on that level. It'd be cool if they had like a buddy comedy next with the two of them going off to fight some bigger threat. Yeah, I do think the one other thing that I found interesting too about this movie is that Christian Bale he's a great actor, but he goes so deep into his characters. It was interesting that he seemed like he was in a different movie than the rest of the people.
Yeah,
times, you know, like he was so in character, and he changes his body for like every freaking role he does. It's
I know.
creepy. Can't be healthy. Um,
He did that for that one movie.
well, years ago he did Machinist when he was like really younger, right before he did Batman Begins. He was looking like a stick figure.
But didn't he also do it for Dick Cheney movie or something?
Then he gained a lot of weight for that. So
he also did that for. Wasn't he the one that played the guy who killed John Lennon, or was that a different actor?
Oh no, that was Morbius. Jared
Well,
Leto.
he gained a bunch of weight
Yeah.
to look like that guy too. But that's another quote method actor,
Yeah.
It's Jared Leto. I'm sorry, is like a piece of shit. But like,
yeah.
Doesn't he have like a harem of like young women or something?
Supposedly he's like a cult leader.
I can totally see that, like just the way he acts, like his eyes, they look kind of like
and this
piercing.
This is all allegedly, folks.
Well, yeah, but fine, whatever. It's probably true. Like I'm tired of saying allegedly when we know like 99.9% true. Like like we're gonna save our asses because we don't have that one tiny sliver extra evidence. Like
it's still out there. It's not really sure what's going on, but he has been known to be over the top. Like, I mean, he sent shit in the mail to people when he was playing the Joker. So,
God,
yeah, and I think like a heart or something in the mail or something like that. I think he sent like a bag of shit one time.
To who?
And possibly like to co-stars
to play the Joker in that shitty movie.
Wow. Yeah.
Like that wasn't even a good Joker or a good movie.
No.
Like it wasn't like Joaquin Phoenix or the guy died. I forgot his name. From Batman. Shit.
Now you got me blanking.
Sorry, because he's been dead for like 15 years. Whatever. Batman Dark Knight, second one. Shit. Can't think of his name. I love getting older.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. The dude, he was like famous actor. He was in like a bunch of shit before he died.
Heath Ledger.
Come on, why can't I think of his name?
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, there we go. Wow.
There we go.
I mean,
I knew it would come to me.
To be fair, he's been dead for like 14 years, but
still.
So, I'm just saying that he hasn't been like in stuff.
Well, the fact that I couldn't remember that right away, and I couldn't also remember Russell Crowe earlier, is maybe it's just that I'm not really remembering the name of Australian actors.
Could be that.
But I did remember Chris Hemsworth's name, and he's
but he's like the main guy, though.
Yeah, that's true. I actually and I remembered Luke Hemsworth, so he's Australian. Yeah.
But Zeus, Zeus was only in a movie for like 5 minutes straight, or total.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me. I don't really have any more thoughts.
Me too.
I think it's a good movie. I liked it. I definitely would recommend this more than Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness featuring Doctor Strange. And so do it. Go watch it. It's fun.
If you've listened to this whole thing and you haven't watched it, that's kind of
Well, we kind of ruined it for you, sort of. But then again, our review wasn't really chronological, so technically you.
But still,
the way it was meant. Scene. I don't know. Whatever.
I doubt anybody listened to this whole thing without seeing it. So,
yeah, you shouldn't listen to podcasts for things that you haven't seen yet.
Especially when this says spoiler filled right into the title that I'm going to post for this.
Whatever.
So, anyways, till next time, folks. Be sure to go check out our website, all2real2.com. You can check out all of our links to everything there. You can, let us know what you thought about the film. Send me a message at mike@cullenpark.com. It's the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, until next time, folks, be good to each other. And just remember, love is the most important thing. And bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.